and welcome to another episode. My name is Dave. I'm joined by my friend Ian, as always.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about E4 2020. This is the PreLARP section.
This is, for all you pre-larpers out there, although actually...
PreLARP group, PreLARP clan,
yeah,
I don't know.
After the last time, I'd like to say that there were quite a few people who were very pro PreLARP, and I appreciate each and every one of you. We must fight the evil David decision to try and remove, or agenda to remove the PreLARP. They must stand for all time.
Agenda is a strong word. Agenda.
We're kicking it off immediately with controversy.
Controversial starts to PreLARP. This is why you guys tune in. What did you do in PreLARP, Ian?
Actually, very little, and I think which is quite funny. I think it's one thing that I found very interesting was this year for Empire has been amazing, but really very intense. And I think a lot of people, I felt this almost like a vibe across the field. Like lots of people were like excited for E4, but also it's been a long year. I think obviously,
yeah, massively. I got that vibe like when I got to the site. Everyone was kind of low energy, a little like not worried is the wrong word, but like kind of had a weird vibe around the camp. Where
nervous apprehension.
Apprehensive, yeah, that's the better word.
I think also there was a little rumbling that there might be some worse weather, and those of us who've been to some pretty bad weather events know that obviously can be issues. As it turns out, the weather was actually, I think, pretty fine.
We didn't write on our notes about the weather, but it was a very big factor at times. I mean, Jesus. Yeah, I mean, for me, I had my continuing adventure into being an ambassador for a Slaver Nation continues to be fraught and exciting. But, okay, couple of things. So, Profound Decisions do posts on Facebook where they have a rules update or a bit of a thing about discussing something or trying to make something clear to the player base. And they did one for delegations and proxies, and they used mine and Bungle's picture in the Senate talking to Eli.
Yeah,
I can't say I don't know whether it is at all related to the player, but I cannot say how happy I was that me and my team, my little delegation team, are featured as the poster people for that. Was so
whether
cool.
or not it was an accident that it was a picture of you guys. I think regardless. It's for me, I was like, that's a really lovely thing because I know how hard you've all worked as a team and how much you do follow that ethos of sort of delegating jobs out, and what you've built is actually really fantastic. Like a hell of a lot of game off something that maybe could have just been kept between a very small number of people has suddenly become a lot of game for a great number of people.
I don't know how people have a hat at Empire without a team. I need all of my people, right? Like Paige wasn't there this weekend, so we had to work extra hard with the people we had. We had Orion join the team, was really good, but basically Millie and Bung were basically absolute legend and helped me do my job to the best. They're just great.
I think there's also a thing of the player base has expanded. And that just means there's a lot more running around and telling people, and there are more people in circulation in the Empire.
Yeah, the hats have stayed the same, but the player base has got bigger, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm a firm believer in that we should try and spread game to newer players, get them involved in the game, get them to experiencing things. And I think even proxying, let me put it this way, I know, even speaking to Millie, she was talking about, potentially looking at hats that she wants to go for, maybe in the Ambassador game or elsewhere, but just coming along with me, helping me doing what I do. She's meeting a bunch of different people and also learning how the game works, right? Who do you speak to if you need to do this? Yeah. Who are good people to go and chat to? Who are good people to give advice on things? And I actually have a really good relationship with Osway, who was a long-serving previous ambassador. He'll kind of come up in this weekend, but having a much more experienced player who in game is still extremely knowledgeable about all things Yarm is such a good contact for me just to touch base with and have a better understanding of what I'm doing. Bear in mind, I know. Bear in mind, I'll caveat this before we start. I know my job is a poison chalice. Like, people literally call it a poison chalice, right? This is what my job is. Okay, it's like it's everything I do is walking up a downward escalator. Okay, or made of custard. Okay, like everything I do is difficult, and I know that. But you can often, like, I think I've had a situation where I've been like, oh man, like I'm trying so hard and doing so badly, and kind of like taking it on personally. And now it's like, actually, we'll get to this. We'll talk about this now. Actually, So, this year, I've continued to try and, like, right the ship on this terrible situation that I inherited between the Empire and Yarm, the Principalities of Yarm. And, basically, last summit, the last couple of summits, I was tasked to try and get a neutrality bill to keep us out of the war between the Commonwealth and the Principalities of Yarm. I managed to get something through the Senate. Bear in mind, I can't make Senate motions. I need a senator to make the motion, and then that gets passed, right?
Sure.
The wording that Yarm sent us, no senator would would do.
Yeah.
So we had to come up with a compromise, which was a fairly compromised statement on neutrality. It still said neutrality, but it was like very wishy-washy and like. And turns out Yarm didn't like this very much, and basically were like, we will. The act wording was sever ties. I don't know what that means. I don't know really what that actually in game means. I need to maybe talk to PD about what that really in game means. Like, are they not going to talk to me anymore? Are they? What's going? Like, there's lots of stuff. But they also said that like my reputation personally has been damaged.
Yeah.
Man, when I read that, I was just like, fuck it. What am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, why am I doing this? And then, in classic PD style, that cheeky scam Bandy Raff goes and puts in, a member, an unofficial member of Yarm is going to come and have a little chinwag and ask for me directly, along with another wonderful gentleman called Goldie, who looks after the Palisade Docks. It's basically it's a place where Yarm would come and trade their weirwood and other items, and we would trade with them there. It's specifically built for that. So he's got a vested interest in seeing that open again as well. But it was like, man, like I like the medicine with a little bit of sugar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's like I said to you, because obviously we talk about this kind of stuff, and you've put a lot of yourself into this. I mean, it is actually
too much, I would say.
I would say that's actually something that I think you've started to learn to maybe gain that disassociation, slightly, that slight separation more, and understand that there is nothing personal. That is how it is.
No. Also, when you realise, like, I got gouged pretty hard in last summit's ambassadorial, the diplomatic meeting.
Yeah,
like I got pretty gouged in that.
So I think it's hard when you're the bad guy and lots of people are having you're the focus of that game, and if you're not ready for it, it's a lot to take on.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff I could talk about that, which I'm not going to because it relates to other players, and I think it would be very unfair for me to basically give.
That's true.
Here are my reasons why I'm right. Right? It's totally unfair, right? So, but all of that is like a really good learning experience, and like learning hard skills, learning stuff about yourself. Like, all this is very, very positive, right? Like, for me anyway, that's how I'm viewing it, and I feel pretty positive about a lot of it.
But it was really nice how the writing team essentially have these other ways, like it's like I said to you, even a closed door lets in a draft.
All I wanted to do, one of the main things why I was so interested in the ambassadorial game was meeting an NPC. Like, as a regular Joe walking around on the field, like, that there are some opportunities, but they're not very obvious when you first start the game of how to go and interact with NPCs. Like, I'm now learning, like, Eternals are a really good way, because a lot of Eternals are like, they show up like Father Christmas and you form a line and you get to go and chat to the Eternal, right? That's a really nice thing to do. But to have, like, oh my god, an actual representative of Yarm coming to the summit and basically coming to see me, and it was just like, oh man, I was so fucking excited. Like, I was so excited. It was from the highs and the lows of that Winds of Fortune was really interesting. Also, there's like a kind of, there's peace in knowing you're fucked. Okay, like, there's something about it where you're like, oh my god, I've worked my ass off. I've walked miles on that field. I've had so many conversations with so many groups and so many bodies and so many like individuals, and it comes down to this, and you're just like, well, shit. Do you know what I mean? Like the diplomatics, the way things are at the moment is it's 2022. Okay, like we can pretend that we live in a fantasy world, which is a religious autocracy, right? But the reality is the player base are a group of people in ranging ranges living in 2022 and trying to go for the sell of, hey, slavery bad, but let's have a bit more of a nuanced conversation about that. It really doesn't matter what the other side do. Okay, like you're always going to be in a shit situation and working uphill to do that, especially on the diplomatic front, right? Yeah. Like you could argue, like, oh, we don't have enough military to kill them, but that's still, if you could, you would, right? Like that's the dealio, right? Like no one's going, hey, they don't follow the way, hey, oh, we should go and destroy them if we could, right? Like this is not the conversation. So, and I understand this; it's fine. But there's like I had this whole sense of like, like I can't. This is the first summit I went to that I was like so relaxed and felt good about what I was doing.
I think, especially after E3. And after we'd spoken obviously at the end last time, and you go into the player event. And just the idea, just getting you to sort of like, because you put a lot of pressure on yourself, I think.
Yeah, I do, and it's something. This is one of the hard skills that you have to learn. Yeah. I'll talk about hard skills I've learned. Understanding if you have a thing to do, understanding what you need to do to achieve that thing, and then tick them off. Right. Yeah. Once all the things you've done have been done, relax. You do not need to be at 11 the entire time, right? Like once you start to bop off the things off the list, you've spoken to the people that you need to speak to, enjoy yourself. Go and enjoy Empire with all of its wackiness and all of its fun, right? Like there's so much stuff out there.
And there is some wonderful wackiness to be had, which we'll get into.
There's so many people that are just there to make your weekend better or give you an experience that is really positive.
And right? you can be the wackiness as well, which is...
Some of us can be.
Which is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to be a bit wacky.
Yeah, I mean, like... there's some cool stuff. Like there's an opportunity going in for we basically last time there was an opportunity to go and defeat a foreign nation called Asavea, and they had they're slavers and they had this big slave port that was like terrible place and really like affluent, but we're obviously doing this terrible trade in people and humans and orcs, and basically turns out everyone wanted to go and smash the fucking dump out of this, right? Yeah. So me and my fleet went off and we had a bloody good time crushing the fucking slavers. And it's like, it was really good. Oh, there's one thing I want to say. So there's someone I know had received correspondence about me.
Right.
Okay? And before E3, the letter was basically, oh, that Gellert Ashbourne, I bet he's like, treating with slavers and like this, he's a terrible person and all these terrible accusations of like basically like a character assassination about my character. And it was like and then the letter before E3 was we looked at the the honor roll, what's it called, there's a name for it.
Yeah, I think it is the honor roll, isn't it?
Whatever it is.
It basically lists where all the different military units and fleets went
and have been. So you can Google like where Gellert Ashbourne has been, right? Yeah. And it's like my record speaks for itself, okay? Like I went to Axos to rescue the fucking orcs, I smashed the slave traders, you know what I mean? Like what else have I done? Endlessly I choose the defeat slavery button, okay? Like, or help people in need button. And it was quite funny to read the letter after that, being like, I might have been a little harsh towards Gellert in my previous letters, and if there's anything I can do to help, please let me know, right? And it's quite nice. I got this sense generally that people had been, like... not written me off, but had a pretty hard line on the situation, and I felt that that we are getting to this pretty critical point with Yarm now, where it's like, well, there's not much room to maneuver now.
Yeah,
we've done nothing but piss them off. We like they have also done things to us which aren't good. Liberty Pack speaks for itself.
This
right?
is the nature of hostile diplomacy, essentially. And,
Yes.
and bear in mind, the situation you're in, as much as it sucks, is a situation that I'm sure many real-world diplomats have been in throughout history.
Oh,
it's
most
not
definitely.
very. It doesn't matter how talented they were. It didn't matter how charismatic they were.
How good you are at dinner parties
All
or
of
your
that
personal
stuff,
relationship
right?
doesn't matter, right?
There's a certain stage where you are the ambassador to North Korea, and there's very little you can do to improve situations.
Like Russia, right?
Yeah,
like imagine being the Russia, like to Russia,
all of that
in recent history, right? Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I'll stop. I promise. I'm actually. I don't promise. I am going to waffle on about diplomatic stuff. Oh, this is one very important thing. I haven't done it yet. If we mention stuff in character, like we'll say this probably at the start of the next episode as well, because not everyone listens to the PreLARP. PreLARP
fools.
We shouldn't judge people. But like, please be careful. If I slip something that you don't know that isn't public knowledge, just please try and not do that. Like, it really makes it difficult for us if that does happen. Fortunately, you guys are legends, and it's never really come up.
It's never been an issue, but and massive thanks to all of you, and we do try and control all the information that we give out, but I think it is an important point because, I mean, especially for you,
at the end of the day, it's me talking to my best mate, right? And I'm going to let stuff slip eventually.
We're excited,
right?
because we actually purposefully don't talk about anything. I mean, we're literally doing this the next day after the event.
Oh my god, it's like just gone 12 on the Monday. I think both of us are pretty
I'm exhausted.
Pooped. Yeah, I'm so tired.
So like mentally I'm tired, so there's the opportunity there. But I mean, you're touching on a lot of game.
A huge amount.
Touching on a lot of games, so you have to be quite careful. So please,
I'm gonna try and navigate it through. If I fuck up, apologies
we always
to
try.
PD and the other player base, but I'm trying. Right. A couple of things. The only crafting that was really done. Orion and his beautiful maps, basically. Orion's been making these wonderful maps where he's gone through the wiki, he's worked out different distances to different places, and he's created such wonderful maps that they're amazing as is.
One really nice thing he's done, actually, is make a fully digital representation of all the information he's gathered available to everyone. And because he goes through all of this stuff, and actually, it's not just the information that is most commonly available. It's like he actually looks at the things and finds out where new places are. He's spoken to players and asked them where their actual banners or whatever things are located. Like, you can find Caro's Forge is literally on the map. It's a really nice touch.
Yeah,
it's like little things like that.
Even the stuff that we don't know about. I know that this summit he was literally looking around for maps of places that we hadn't been to.
Yeah.
And I think there was actually an opportunity coming up this summit, which is to try and map out new areas to go and explore. So I'm like, oh my god, like how big is this world? How many nations do we not even know exist out there, right? Like it's fucking cool.
It's really cool. It's really cool.
We have the known world.
Yeah.
It's not the whole world, it's the known world.
Well, I mean, the other thing, I mean, we brush on it a lot, but basically the lore of the Empire is at this point just incredible. It's been built out over years. There's so many different aspects, so many things that you can explore. I mean, you could spend an extremely long time looking through the wiki picking out incredible nuggets of information.
And also the myth involved.
Yeah.
Like, what I really like about it is, like, we don't know everything, right? Like, even if you did download the wiki into your brain, there would still be whole question marks or contradictions that, like, in how stories are told, how they're passed down, who was telling them and when.
They have a cool thing in the backstory, to hit on this very quickly, which is basically the reason there isn't a vast library of information is because Emperor Nicobar burnt down the library and burnt all the books, which actually is a very good IC explanation for why we don't have full accountings and records of all of these early history things.
Well, that's true with reality, right? Like there was information lost. There is obviously this is where conspiracy theories and ancient age conspiracy theories exist, but like like it's us. Like history is us then. So we haven't but the political ramifications and what it is to be a human being and what that encompasses is vast, right? Like so. the grey and the unknown is such a great aspect
exciting.
of the game, right? And this comes into like a lot of the stuff that, like, when we're talking about the Valorn, right? Like, there were some opportunities that came up this time round to do with learning information about the Valorn that we'd lost through our What was it? Oh my god! What was the name of the
Turuniel?
Turuniel
is essentially where the Navari people come from. It was an ancient civilization that was very powerful at the time.
See, my version of this is they did either big magic, and the big magic.
There's lots of opinions on it, but it's the prevailing opinion, as far as I'm aware, is that spring magic went bad. Valorn came about.
It's bloodied and wiped everything out and made the Valorn happen.
Yes.
Is my very naive version of this. And I can feel scholars clutching at scrolls now while listening to that. So I'm a diplomat, I'm an idiot. Like, don't take anything on.
I'm not a diplomat and I'm still an idiot.
Yeah. But I love the fact that the advisor to the Valorn, he's working his ass off, dude.
Really?
Like,
well, and this is one of the main things. As a result of player actions, we've now got the opportunity to essentially do the Manhattan Project.
Yeah.
And rediscover this sort of, or potentially discover this kind of method for destroying Valorn hearts.
We are not going to like the answer.
Probably not.
I'll tell you right now.
No, of course.
Right now.
It's going to be a full-on PD style, give us with one hand, stab you in the back with the other.
Absolutely.
But
it's going to be whatever. It's not going to be something really nice. Like, it's going to be something deeply unpleasant when we find out what it is, and it's going to make people like, oh my god.
There's probably a reason we forgot the law.
Yeah, there's a reason why we didn't do the thing right, and it might well be like, oh, you have to go against the way, or some other wacky shit, or hey, like, send over like 10,000 slaves and execute them on a hill type thing. Like, there's going to be some bad shit.
Who knows?
Like,
it's pretty wacky and awesome, but
in the grim dark of Empire, there is only war.
Also, what I quite like about Empire as well is there's scale to everything. There's also, including scale of time. For example, one of the opportunity we're talking about is to basically upgrade this library we have to be like this hub of research.
We have to build the library first,
which takes a year.
Yeah.
And then the research is estimated to take 2 years. These things can be sped up with outside things, but that's free real world years.
Yep.
That's 12 events, right? That's, you know what I mean? So, but Empire has almost like the confidence and the wealth of players and interest and lore to actually make something like that. Seems realistic,
I might
right?
be talking out my arse, but I remember hearing, God, this might have come back to actual interviews I've had with PD, but like that they have things that they know are going to be discovered, or like a timeline on the actual game.
Yeah.
And loads of those things we haven't, like, we're so far behind that schedule.
We're way behind the timeline, I think, where they thought we'd be.
Turns out players aren't very efficient, right? But
everyone pulls in different directions, and that's the way it goes.
It's a big game.
Yeah, it's a huge game.
It's a big game.
And everyone's got different interests.
If Empire was played by one person, it'd be very different, right? Like, all the Waynes, all the resources, right? And I'm just gonna be like, allocate this to this army does this army does this, checkmate, motherfuckers. Do you know what I mean? But that's not, it's a social game. Everyone has to try and everyone's got their own thing that they're working on.
And for example, the economy is fascinating because how do you account for the buying and selling of bubbles, for example, or something weird like that, or like, you know.
What?
I'm just saying, like, that there's rings that come in and out of the Empire,
or a smut library.
All this stuff. Like, how do you equate for like that's essentially like waste in the economy, right? It's not going towards any actual service to defeating the enemies of the Empire, but it's going towards the service of the fun of the game. Right?
I guess because the thing is, it's like in, I don't know, economics students, please fire in, but like. Some stuff is you generate an economy from the moving of wealth, but there's also using up of resources in that, right? You can also create a resource like we do with like herbs and turn them into potions, and then we're basically upgrading. We're adding value after to the resource, right? So fuck knows, man. It's fascinating.
It's fascinating.
I'm sure there are people out there that like hardcore nerd into the
economics of it all. Of course,
No. Speaking of which, drinks have gone up from 5 rings to 10 almost everywhere.
Quite possibly.
No, I think that not that I'm like a real money grabber, But, you know, I'm like, pint of beer, please, 10 rings. And I'm like, 10 rings? Well, 5 last event. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is this?
Hey, it's the gentrification.
Real life is hard enough. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? We've got like rapid inflation and the fucking... Jesus, I'm a diplomat. I've got no money. Jesus.
Yeah. My crafting was basically just light repairs, stuff like that. I'd had a really nice set of tarot cards made for me by Sophie, who plays Fion, and basically I made a new like box for those. I never actually did a reading for anybody, but I'm going to do myself a little book to stick in there as well. I'm going to make it like a little portable thing so I can do actual readings for people.
Sophie's got like they do a podcast, by the way, which is the Fancy Nuts podcast. Yeah. I was a guest on there recently, and we spoke a bit about the deck. But she's got this wonderful book. And it's like on each page is the thing, and it has like notes all over it with illustrations, and it's a piece of art.
It's a long dark project. I want to try and actually do.
And I think I'm excited for you to see.
Yeah, I want to do that. Another thing I want to do is like a Talis walking through the trods, like just doing sketches of different regions, and just like a kind of and just do like a kind of an art book of walking around the trods, essentially.
What do you have now? A military unit, or what do you have?
I've still got a herb garden. I was going to get it changed.
Get rid of a herb garden.
Yeah, I know. I should.
I felt really bad for like a few players were like, oh, what are you up to? I'm like, I went and fucking sailed my fleet, which is...
I wish there was an option with some of the other resources to actually like have drop-down boxes like you guys do. Because we don't have any of that. It'd be cool if there was like options to do something. I don't know what it would be.
I suppose that it's different though, because there are different things that you can do in game that affect your herb gardens, makes them produce less or more, right?
But you can do the same with a military unit. You can increase its strength. You can do the same with a fleet. I think it's a bit of a shame because some of these other resources are quite dry.
Yeah. By the way, these opportunities don't usually come up like back to back to back to back. They have this year. Pretty much.
Fairly commonly come up.
Right in that. Because before I was like, I'm going to sail off the yarn. It's part of my thing. Now we're like fully embargoed against them. Well, I'm not sailing over there at all, right? So, but it's been really nice to kind of have fun in-game things where I've literally got to go. I always like the idea of my ship being like I've renamed it. It's called the Golden Cockerel now in honor of my husband, the Golden Cock, and it's just a big bunch of burly, well-ripped men all over the ship, and I'm just like, they're all working out, and I'm like, good work, lads. Do you know what I mean? Let's go and smash these slavers. Do you know what I mean? And then we basically rock up to the docks and just let havoc fly. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're busting in doors. Yeah, exactly. Have at them, boys. And we just charge off there with cutlasses.
It's like that speech from Master and Commander. I know you're as eager to get stuck into the enemy's eye.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Lucky Jack.
Let them loose. Let them fly or whatever, you know? You better roll fast. Yeah.
All of that. No, I mean, for me, other than that, one thing that I had seen in the previous event and I didn't do, but I wanted to act on this time, was there was an opportunity to have a weapon reading. And I'd seen this as like an opportunity that just kind of something I could have done. And I was like, I'll get in touch with that player and see if I can arrange this. So we kind of, we sent letters, like actually wrote.
You were very shady about this before going in.
I wasn't. We'll get to this. I'm not sure how a lot of this sits with the way and all of that. And bear in mind, I'm no priest.
I mean, I did just say, like, don't use any of this information like in game. But if you want to like get an Inquisition team together and just don't do that. But it would be fucking hilarious.
It's hilarious. But so basically. I kind of just wrote this letter and I got this amazing letter back. There was like actually like a beautiful physical object back.
Oh, cool.
It was like it's really nice.
Love a physical letter, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, and so we basically arranged a time and a place on the Friday where we would do this reading, and it was going to be like one thing I haven't kind of done. I mean, I think you've done a little bit of this with like your wing messengers and stuff, but I've never really done. This isn't a ritual because I don't know. I honestly don't know how this stands. If it's more halfy magic, if it's more potentially heresy, if it's I have no idea.
Hey, a little bit of heresy never hurt anyone.
But anyway, I'd never really done any of that kind of performance-y art stuff. You know, kind of what I mean. And I was like, it was something I really wanted to give a go, and I wanted to like be a part of, and I thought this was a great opportunity to do that one-on-one.
This is a big part of the game, and like I agree, we haven't really engaged with it very much at all. And I saw a couple of things this weekend, and hopefully I'll remember to mention all of them. But like, there was some cool shit, like really fucking cool little like performance pieces, yes. Right? Like,
when we get to this, it's absolutely outrageously cool.
Yeah.
Like, but that was.
I got interviewed by the a gentleman from the Oath-Right, which was really nice.
Yeah.
So they were doing like the guy was doing little pieces on the trying to interview the different ambassadors and diplomatic corps, because basically I think most people are switching on to the fact is that our diplomatic service has been woefully underappreciated for a long time now in a number of different ways, and how dramatic it affects the game. So people are starting to engage with it more, but it's really cool. Like the Oath-Right, it didn't get featured in this Oath-Right, but hey, it's fun being interviewed, right? Like and being able to articulate why you're doing the thing, how you feel things are going, trying to be a little smart with my answers rather than being like, fuck these people, they're trying to fuck me over, and if they would listen, then the Empire would be. You don't be that guy, right? I want to briefly touch on conduct. Not to be specific on anything, we've learned a lot about the conduct rules of PD recently. Both of us have read a lot on the conduct stuff. There's a couple of pages on conduct. Please.
Yeah, I highly recommend people read that stuff. Yeah,
so well written.
And
so well laid out about how to interact with people at Empire and what to do if you have been, anything that breaks those code of conduct and how to deal with it. My own dealings with the conduct team, like Graham, Claire Evans, people like that, they're very good. They're very good. And I would encourage people who have been affected by anything that break that thing. I know that we live in a world where people are scared to come forward, and honestly, in the real world, it's so complicated. I don't even want to comment on that. But like, I would highly encourage you to all have faith in PD's conduct team. From my experience, they've been outrageously good. So I think, should we leave it there?
I think we'll leave it there.
Thank you. Player packs. Last time I'd got like a couple of these things at the bottom of my, so on your player pack on the outside it says like, you get, here's all your resources, you get yada yada yada, and then at the bottom I had these two things that said arcane message and a number next to it, right? And I was just like, ooh, letters from people, I'm so excited. And then I had a whole bunch of buggering about, talking to God and then the plot team and it's all this stuff, and it's basically turned out no, there are no messages. Same thing happened again. I had a big old fucking player pack because I had my ministry stuff and it paid out all the stuff, and had these two things, and I was just like, so I went up there. Again, the God team, they are so good, so positive, so hardworking, that they're just great. And they were so supportive of, like, they were just like, oh, yeah, let me find out about this. I ended up speaking to, I felt like the head God guy person or whatever, you know, like, they were very, very good. I chatted to them. And basically what happened was, the packs are, like, auto-generated, from what I understand. There's some sort of, like, it gets generated onto the pack, these things, and what they might relate to is the messages that I've sent. Right. So the system for some reason goes, oh, arcane messages were sent or whatever. Boom, it goes onto the player pack, but that's actually the my feedback that I've sent. Right. Yeah. So it's very confusing. That's how I understand it to be. I think PD are working on that over the long dark, and hopefully that won't lead to confusion in the future. But that's my understanding. They have improved
things a lot, even over this year, haven't they? Just by having that separate room with all of the PCs for doing the letter writing and stuff.
That's really nice, by the way.
Yeah, I hadn't actually seen it previously, but I saw it was like a separate tent that was off away from the main god. It looks a lot better.
Yeah. There was some stuff like, I will get to that, like, because I did send another one messenger and we'll talk about it. I think PD are trying their best. I think, like, the thing is, it's like, PD are an extremely small company. Okay? They have, like, an extremely small amount of actual paid staff. Like, tiny. I think 3 members of staff compared to, 350 or something more volunteers. So there's a lack of professionally paid people that are working on this stuff,
Yeah.
and the game's exploded in size and
Yeah.
scale, and I feel like you can kind of feel things creaking there a little bit, like I know people are working their asses
People are
off.
working incredibly hard, right?
Incredibly
Yeah.
hard. I feel like PD are ready to develop a bit, change.
Yeah.
I don't think the way that things are running at the moment is sustainable, especially if they keep getting bigger. I feel like they are going to need to have to change a lot of like their ethos towards a lot of things. Hopefully a new site will be... Oh, yeah, they're trying to get a site.
Yeah, they're trying to get a new site.
They're crowdfunding through selling shares, and then you get a piece of that. I looked into it. I've decided not to, but that's my personal choice.
I just don't have the money.
Yeah, I have a little bit of savings, and I was like, I believe in trying to get a project. I'm a little wary of some of the financial stuff with it, so I've decided to not. But don't take that away from the fact is I want PD to succeed. Like I want them to have their own site.
Yeah.
I want them to build into a big, like, well-run professional company that can provide not only services for Empire but for other games on that site. I think there's I see this future for LARP as a hobby, and I hope it's PD that does this. But there's also things. Oh, quickly to mention, I got tickets to a fucking LARP in Spain that looks insane.
You were showing me. I was incredibly jealous. It looks actually so good.
It's pricey, but like I am so excited. It's going to be in March next year. I'm really curious about, because I've obviously experienced Empire. I've been to Blind Dogs, which was a different group of people. I know that they basically worked their asses off forever at Blind Dogs, broke even, and then basically said, like, we're not going to do another one with the same, like. Then iLARP, I think iLARP are a really great model because it's small. They have two people that run it. Again, very volunteer based, but on a very smaller scale. And I love the games they run. They're very tailored. Northern Kingdoms, which I'm going to next weekend, outrageously good. How the personal touch to all of that stuff, right? Like how I feel like my character is literally, quite literally, the abilities that we have are designed for our characters.
I know, I love it. It's
like,
I was going to go, but I just can't make it this year.
Dude, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And then, so I've experienced this, but I still feel like I'm in my infancy of understanding what LARP is and how it can be done.
Scales. Is it like I'm not a business person. No. I don't know what it is to economically manage.
Nope, I don't know.
A 20-person LARP, a 100-person LARP, a 1,000-person LARP, and whatever the hell it comes next after that. If
Empire have over, I think they had 2,700 adult playing people. Okay, this doesn't include concessions or all the rest of it or amount of crew. That's going to be like 250 grand or something turnover. That's not profit, that's turnover. I have no idea what the expenses are to put on a giant fucking fest LARP, right? Like, I don't know. Event organisers probably know better than I do, but there's a lot of money.
So much stuff.
There's a lot of money, a lot of overheads. I don't know where the promised land is, right? Like, do ticket prices need to go up? Will that kill the game for a huge amount of people? Do there need to be in the modern age? Do we need to change your understanding of what a concession ticket is? Okay, it's no longer unemployed people and students. It's, for me, in my opinion, probably people that earn under 25 grand a year are probably in an arguably nearing poverty if you're doing a lot of things, right? I don't think that's a stretch to say in this modern climate, right? So maybe our understanding of what a concession ticket needs to be or how to make that available to people needs to change. I have no idea. I'm spitballing. I'm talking out my arse. These are just things that I think about, right?
Yeah, and I think when you're dealing with LARP is still in some ways in this modern age, and it's very much in its infancy. I know obviously LARP as a hobby has existed for a long time, but this idea of actually making a company and trying to actually make that work as a thing.
Definitely, this is like a company that actually has people paid.
Yes.
Actually paid, not just to pay for itself, is from what I understand, especially in the UK, a relatively new thing, right? Like, we're talking less than 20 years old, right? So this
especially on this kind of scale.
And this scale is huge. Like, we're all learning, but hey, I think the road to salvation is many pathed, right? Like, some people are going to make the right decisions, some people are going to make the wrong decisions, and we don't know what they are until we get there, right? So, hey, good luck, everyone. If you're making a LARP, good on you. Get it done. We're all learning. I'm very curious to see what this LARP in Spain, which is like it's over €300.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, it's going to be a very different style of event. Okay. It's got like sleeping pods.
Yeah.
I'm going to get given a personal uniform. It's totally
it sounds
different.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But again, it's something I could never go to.
But again, it's €300 for a 4-day LARP in Spain.
Yeah.
Is totally it's a what's the word, like, it's a not privilege, it's excessive, right? Like, for a lot of people, it's excessive for me, for fuck's sake.
I mean,
like,
I could never go, like, literally, like that. Like, that's not something I could do.
Getting the ticket was both, yes, I got a fucking ticket, I'm gonna go to this amazing thing, and also, oh my god, where the fuck am I gonna come up with 300 quid, right? Like, this is the reality of where we live, right? So but anyway, wow, I thought we would have a really quick one. But we've waffled for a while.
That's the value of the pre-LARP. You get just the really weird waffly stuff.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll see you going into...
I don't know what that was like to listen to.
Yeah, that was probably a very weird, random chain of thought there. Hey, it's the day after the event.
Hey, we're going to talk about actual Empire at the event next. So, hey, pre-LARPers, I do appreciate you. I only like to take the mickey. And honestly, the reaction to me casting shade onto the pre-LARP last time was really funny.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Militant pre-LARPers. Militant pre-LARPers coming out the woodwork to be like, listen, you even think about cutting the pre-LARP off, we'll
cut you off.
Yeah, we'll cut you off. How'd you like that? But yeah, we'll come back after a brief break and talk about Friday at E1, E4 2020.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.